What's happening, everybody? My name is Justin and welcome back to the BTR Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to replace your heater core on your Ford Powerstroke or Super Duty truck. This process may also apply to other trucks with similar heater core locations. I've got new parts, I've got new hoses. We're going to show you what we've got and then go ahead and get started with the replacement of the heater core. All right, so the parts that we picked up, I actually got from Amazon, of all things. I know some people aren't gonna like that. I didn't get Motorcraft OEM parts. The OEM heater core is terribly expensive for this truck, so I went with an aftermarket unit from Spectre Cooling. It had really good reviews and good ratings, so we'll give it a shot, and it's only like 25 bucks or something. If I have to replace it again, it's not a big deal. So the hoses that we picked up as well, these Dayco hoses, also recommended to go with this heater core unit. This is the full hose for the inlet on the heater core and then the exit on the heater core as well. One of these hoses comes out of the water pump into the heater core. The other one goes out of the heater core and back into the engine block. That's how the coolant circulation works in the truck through the heater core. Now the heater core itself, again, is this Spectra, I think I said Spectre earlier, Spectra premium heater core. So this is our heater core. It looks like a little mini radiator. And then the hoses, or I guess they're not hoses, more like the hard metal tubes for the inlet and outlet tubes are these guys here. So what we're gonna do is get the old hoses off of the truck. I still have those on there from when I bypassed the hoses or bypassed the heater core previously. Got to get the hoses off, then we got to get inside the truck under the dash on the passenger side to get the old heater core out. And then we can go ahead and put things back together. So we've got the old hoses taken off. These are the cut ones that I had cut on the heater core side, and getting these little clips off on the end off of the heater core are a little bit tricky. The way those things work, and I'll show you the new one that I've got here. This hose right here, it's got the little fitting with the white plastic piece inside it, and there's basically little ridges on the edge of it that you got to pinch together, and then it will come apart. Let's see if I can get a close-up of it here to show you what it looks like. So the clip looks like that. It's got the white piece on the inside, and to get it to release, you kind of got to pinch these two edges here while it's on the hose, and then it will pull out and apart. And it's kind of tricky inside the truck simply because it is a tight fit to get your hand back into the corner, but it does take a little bit of patience and they will come off. Just keep at it and you'll eventually get them out of there. What we're going to do now is go into the inside of the truck, take the glove box out, take some of the panels out on the underside of the dash so we can get the heater core itself pulled out of the truck. Getting the glove box out is pretty straightforward. You just need a Phillips head screwdriver and a small little 9/32 or so socket tip wrench. And there's two screws right here and over there, and then these three black bolts on the bottom of the glove box. Pop those out and everything kind of comes out pretty easy. Behind this black panel right here is where the heater core lives. We're going to remove all these little silver screws that are located around the edge of the heater core, and naturally it is a different size little socket head than the one that held the glove box in, so we're going to go ahead and take those out. So now you can see our heater core is exposed. I still have a little bit of coolant that had leaked down in the bottom of the tray here. This is where it leaks into your passenger footwell. So if you ever have any kind of fluid in your footwell or underneath on the bottom side of this plastic area, that's a good indication that your heater core is leaking. Now, next up, we have to remove some of the components up in the upper part of the dash here so we can get the heater core out. a little better look at the parts that we have to remove. So this little harness pack, or whatever that is up there, there's a bolt there, and I think one up on the top, so we can get that pulled out of the way. And then this guy here, there's 2 bolts on the top sides of it, on each side. So we'll get that pulled out as well. Hopefully it's not too difficult. All right, now the last screw for this little box right here is kind of a royal pain. It's up on the top, back behind it, and there's no way to get the camera up in there, obviously. So you kind of have to feel where it is, back underneath the harnesses, and then get a tool back in there. Like we'll use my mini socket wrench. I might have to get a little extension on there, we'll see. This is probably gonna be the hardest one to get to. I can feel it in the back here, and just gonna try to get to work, try to get it out of there. All right, I got the socket on the screw back there. Seems like it's easier if you go in from the left side of the little box. Assuming I'm actually loosening it, it's not as hard as I thought it was gonna be. You do have to move this little vacuum breather or whatever it is out of the way to get that room up in the left side. All right, the screw is definitely out. You have to take the unit and kind of twist it to the left. It has this little guide mechanism that keeps it in place up there. Once you twist it, it kind of just slides right out. So there we go. As you can see, that's where our screw was. Right down here. Drop it out. And you can see how it kind of has a little guides right here where you got to get it into place and then twist it to lock. But now we have that out, we should be able to get the heater core out. Should just kind of pull straight back. You can kind of see the hoses, or rather the tubes, the hard tubes off the heater core back up in there. There we go, so a little bit of finagling and twisting and turning, and it's just hung up on some of the harnesses back in there. There we go. All right, everything is now removed. As you can see, there is the tray where the heater core sat. I did have to clean out this area down here because it did have some coolant left in it from the leak. And looking up in here, you can see where the holes are, where the heater core tubes exit into the engine bay up in there. Let's see if we can zoom in there. Right up in that area. So we're going to grab the new heater core and get it installed. And the new heater core next to the old heater core. I tried to find out where this one cracked or sprung a leak, and I couldn't quite figure it out. It seems like it was broken somewhere on the bottom, but I also had liquid leaking in the engine bay area, so I'm wondering if the pipe had gotten cracked up here somewhere as well. So installing the new heater core, it is pretty straightforward. You basically do it in the opposite process that you did when taking it out. It is of course a little bit tricky to get everything into the correct position. You're going to have to pull and move and twist and turn the thing to try to get the hoses, or the tubes rather, fitted through the holes in the firewall, while also getting the small radiator piece into the box that it has to fit in as well. Again, it's one of those time-consuming things that just takes a little bit of effort and getting things correct, but you don't want to bend or crack or make a hole in any of the components, so do take your time and take it easy, and eventually things will fall into place. Alright, I think what I'll do next is just put my plastic cover back on it. Remember which is the easiest way to do this. Seems like going in that way is all right. All right, heater core covers back in place. Now it's just a matter of getting the little box back in and the little vacuum actuator repositioned, and we'll be able to go into the engine bay and get the new hoses connected. Now with my heater core in place, we can move on to the engine bay like I had mentioned. Because of my situation where the truck broke down kind of out in the middle of nowhere and I had to hack together a fix to get the truck up and running, my hoses were cut right in the middle so I could attach them together and bypass that heater core and get the truck back on the road. So what I had to do was buy basically brand new hoses for both the inlet and the outlet of the heater core. So the hoses that are on the truck are useless right now to get the heater core back in place and running. So what I have to do is detach the hoses from the water pump in the truck, and then the other one goes to the engine block. I'll try to get in there and show you where they are, but basically just gonna slice the ends of them so that they pull off the fitting nice and easy. Then we'll get the new hoses plugged into place. And here is the hose that goes into the water pump. Right here you can see up here is where I tied them together with the hose clamps and the fitting. So that hose routes towards the front of the truck. And you can see down there is where the water pump fitting is. So I gotta pull that little clamp off and then get the hose off. And then the engine block side is a bit tougher to see, but you can see where the hose was connected up there. It kind of routes down there. You see the mesh covering on it. And it goes down into the hole there, which I can't seem to get the camera into, or the light, but it's basically right down in that area. All right, so the heater core hoses are replaced. It was pretty simple, but it was incredibly messy. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a pain in the butt, a giant mess of coolant below the truck. When you pull the hoses off of the water pump and out of the engine block, coolant just comes spewing out of those little inlets on the truck engine. So you have to pull the old hose and pop the new hose on nice and quick, attach them to the heater core side first in the front of the truck by the firewall. And then you can swap out the hoses and try to minimize the amount of coolant that comes dumping out of the truck. So we're pretty much done. I checked all of the fittings over. We gotta start the truck up, make sure we have no leaks, and that should wrap things up. All right, everybody, there we go. Everything seems to have sealed up nice and tight. No leaks anywhere that I can find. Of course, we'll keep an eye on it. I did crank up the heat, and we do have hot air coming back through the inside of the truck, so it seems to be a success. I am a little bit low on coolant since I spewed a whole ton of it all over the floor, changing out those hoses, so I gotta top off my coolant and then clean up the mess here, but we are pretty much done. Hopefully this will help you guys when changing out your own heater core or your heater core hoses on your Ford Powerstroke truck. If you guys have any thoughts, comments, or questions, like always, please leave them down below. And stick around for more good stuff coming up here real soon. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I'm checking out of here. We'll talk to you all next time.